Eleanor whispered the words that made Samuel freeze mid-motion. "It hurts. This is my first time." It was their wedding night, summer of 1868, inside the small cabin near Abilene, Kansas. The oil lamp flickered. The wooden bed creaked under their weight. Sam had been a widower for 10 years. Eleanor, just 21, had arrived 3 days ago as his mail-order bride, but something was terribly wrong. Her body was stiff as a board. Her hands were trembling. And when Sam looked into her eyes, he didn't see shyness. He saw pure terror. "It'll be over quick," Sam said gently, but then he stopped completely, because that's when he saw them. The bruises, old ones, faded yellow and green, running up her arms like a twisted map of pain. Some were months old. Some were older. His rough rancher's hands, the same hands that could break a wild stallion, suddenly became soft as feathers. "Who did this to you?" Sam asked, his voice barely a whisper. Eleanor started crying. Not the gentle tears of a nervous bride. These were the kind of sobs that come from years of buried hell. She pulled away, wrapped herself in the bedsheet, and sat on the edge of the bed. "My stepfather," she finally said. "Cyrus Bennett. After Mama died 5 years ago, he... She couldn't finish. She didn't have to. Sam felt his blood turn to ice and then to fire. He'd seen war, death, and rustlers, but this was different. "How long?" Sam asked. 5 years. Every time I fought back, it got worse. So I stopped fighting. I just survived. When I saw your advertisement for a wife in the Kansas newspaper, I knew it was my only way out. I had to escape, even if it meant marrying a stranger." Sam stood up, walked to the wash basin, and came back with a damp cloth. He sat beside Eleanor, not touching her, just near her. "Listen to me real careful," Sam said, his voice steady and calm. "You're safe now. I didn't bring you here to hurt you. I brought you here because I needed a partner, not a servant. And partners don't hurt each other. You understand me?" Eleanor looked at him through wet eyes. She nodded slowly. "We're going to take this real slow." Sam continued. "There's no rush. We got all the time in the world. Tonight, you sleep on the bed. I'll take the floor. And tomorrow, we'll start over, as friends first. Then we'll see where it goes. Deal?" For the first time since arriving in Kansas, Eleanor smiled. It was small, broken, but it was real. "Deal," she whispered. Sam grabbed a blanket and made himself a spot on the wooden floor. As he lay there staring at the ceiling, one question burned in his mind. What kind of monster puts his hands on a defenseless girl for 5 whole years? And more importantly, what would Sam do if that monster ever showed up at his ranch? The next morning, Eleanor woke up to the smell of coffee and bacon. Back in Ohio, she'd always been the one cooking. Cyrus would yell if breakfast wasn't ready by sunrise. But here, Sam was already at the stove, flipping bacon in a cast iron skillet like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Morning," Sam said without turning around. "Hope you like your eggs scrambled. I ain't fancy, but I can feed us." Eleanor wrapped the blanket around herself and walked to the small table. In the daylight, the cabin looked simple and honest, nothing like the dark, suffocating house she'd escaped from. "You didn't have to do this," Eleanor said quietly. "Neither did you when you agreed to marry a stubborn old rancher sight unseen." Sam replied with half a smile. "Now eat up. We got work to do." Over the next few weeks, Sam taught Eleanor everything. How to milk the cow named Bessie, who had an attitude problem. How to ride his gentlest horse, a mare called Daisy. He never rushed her, never raised his voice, never lifted a hand. On cool evenings, he'd line up empty bottles on the fence and put his spare revolver in her hands. The first few shots rattled her so bad she could barely breathe, but after a couple of weeks she could knock a bottle clean off a post at 20 feet. At first, Eleanor flinched every time Sam moved too quickly. But slowly, day by day, the flinching stopped. One afternoon, while they were mending a fence together under the brutal Kansas sun, Eleanor actually laughed. It was the first real laugh Sam had heard from her. "What's so funny?" Sam asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. You, Eleanor said, grinning. You just cussed at that fence post for 5 straight minutes like it personally insulted your mother. Sam chuckled. Well, it's a stubborn post. Runs in the family. They worked side by side until sunset. And that night, for the first time, Eleanor didn't ask Sam to sleep on the floor. You can sleep on the bed, she said nervously. I trust you. Sam nodded slowly. Only if you're sure. I'm sure. They lay on opposite sides of the bed that night, a good 2 feet between them. But sometime around midnight, Eleanor's hand slowly moved across the sheets. Her fingers found Sam's rough, calloused hand, and she held it. Sam didn't move, just held her hand back, gentle as holding a baby bird. 2 weeks later, on a warm August night, Eleanor rolled over and kissed Sam for the first time, not because she had to, because she wanted to. What happened next was slow, careful, and nothing like her first night of terror. Sam kept asking if she was okay, so she kept saying yes, and when it was over, Eleanor cried again. But this time, Sam understood. These were different tears. Thank you, she whispered into his chest. Thank you for being patient. Sam kissed the top of her head. Thank you for giving an old man a second chance at something real. But 400 miles away in Ohio, Cyrus Bennett was reading a letter from the Kansas postmaster, and he was furious. 3 months apiece, that's all they got. It was a Tuesday morning in late October when Eleanor was hanging laundry outside. The Kansas wind was picking up, carrying the smell of incoming rain. Sam was out checking the cattle in the north pasture. That's when she heard the wagon. Eleanor looked up and felt her entire body turn to stone, because climbing down from that wagon, wearing the same mean scowl she remembered from 1,000 nightmares, was Cyrus Bennett. Beside him on the wagon seat sat Abilene's county sheriff, a tired-looking man named Clayton, who'd let Cyrus talk him into riding out here with a bottle of whiskey and a story about a stolen horse. There she is, Cyrus announced, pointing at Eleanor like she was a runaway dog. My stepdaughter, the thief who ran off in the night. Eleanor dropped the wet sheet she was holding. Her hand started shaking. All those weeks of healing, of learning to feel safe again, vanished in an instant. Sheriff Clayton tipped his hat. Ma'am, this man wrote my office saying you ran off with his horse and left debts behind. I'm here to hear both sides. Debts. Eleanor's voice cracked. He calls that care. I fed you, clothed you, kept a roof over your head after your mama died, Cyrus said smoothly, and you repay me by stealing my horse and running off to marry some stranger. You owe me $500, girl, or you're coming back to Ohio where you belong. Before Eleanor could respond, she heard hoofbeats. Sam came riding in fast, dust kicking up behind his horse. He took one look at Cyrus and his jaw clenched so tight you could hear his teeth grind. Get off my land, Sam said quietly. But quiet from Sam was more dangerous than yelling. This doesn't concern you, rancher, Cyrus sneered. This is between me and my daughter. Stepdaughter, Sam corrected, climbing down from his horse. And she's not yours anymore. She's my wife, legal and proper. We got the papers filed in Abilene 3 months ago. So whatever business you think you got here, you don't before you hear